Okay, we're ready for Life Notes for October 17th, 2022. It's our relationship series, and we're talking about strangers. So, probably the first question you're asking is, how can I have a relationship with a stranger? Well, that's a good question. Let me zip on through this really quick, and I'll try to tell you. So, do you ever leave the house? Do you ever go anywhere? So when you go someplace, probably there's lots and lots of people that you have no clue who they are. They are strangers. Whether you're in a store or at the gas station, uh, sometimes going into work. If you work in a big building, you go past people that you don't recognize. So do you give them a smile or maybe a little nod? These seem like probably small, insignificant things. However, when you smile or nod at a person, or I would say smile and nod, that subconsciously tells a person, you know what, I'm glad to see you. I'm glad you're here. And it acknowledges them as a person. It's so simple, and yet it's amazing what that little bit of acknowledgement, or acknowledgement, I guess is the best word, that little bit of show of interest in that person will do for them for the rest of the day. It's really incredible. This is a shocker, but strangers are people, you know. Yes, they are. They're just like you. You know, they're not background characters for your existence and place in life. They're real people, and they have similar concerns, desires, dreams, goals, challenges, just like you. You know, worry creases their brow, pulls their face down, causes them to go about the day sometimes oblivious to those around them. They have a lot of worry on their mind, you know, just like you. So we've all been there, we've all done that. So when you see these people, they're not being mean or just wrapped up in themselves. They are wrapped up in themselves, but I don't feel that that's their thrust. That's not what their intention is. But when the pressures of life, you know, press in on you and stuff, how do you respond? You know, what do you do? Do you have a tendency to take everything as an offense? Do you lash out at people? Do you think that everybody's out to get you? They're not. It's just your perspective at that particular time has caused you to feel vulnerable. So, to give you some idea here with strangers, when I'm out somewhere, of course, for 49 years, I've always opened the car door and other doors for my wife, and also for other people. So if I'm heading into a store or an office or anything, and I know there's people right behind me, and I'm getting there first, doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman, I'll open the door and let them go through first. That's just sort of a pleasant way to give them an acknowledgement that I know they're there, they're appreciated as a person, and hopefully they'll say something like, thank you. I know when somebody opens the door for me, I always tell them thank you. Let's say you're in a checkout line. Man, things are going slow because there's lots of people. Maybe there's a person at the cashier is not moving as fast as the line thinks they ought to. And you have a person in front of you that gets up there and she just lets loose on the cashier. Oh man, you're so sorry. How'd you ever get this job? I can't believe it. Look at all these people behind me. You're slowing everybody down. Blah, blah, blah. I was in a situation like that one time. And the cashier was in tears. Well, think about this. That cashier, when I got up to her, her eyes were still red from crying. And I looked at her and I thought, well, something must be going on in her life that's causing her to move so slowly and not feel confident in her ability to do this. Not saying what was going on in her life, but let's say she just got a call that her child was sick, but she couldn't rush out and go home as yet because there wasn't somebody there to take her place as a cashier. She's worried about her child, and then you have some moron letting loose on her and fussing because she's not moving fast enough. You know, there's a reason things go the way they do. So when I got to her in the line, she kept her head down and she was checking out my items, and I noticed her hand, and she had one of those design things on one of her fingernails. I said, wow, that is a cool design. And she said, oh yeah, my husband likes these, and I got that special. It cost a little bit extra, but I got it. And I said, well, that makes your hand really stand out. You have like long, slender hand. They're like what I would call a piano hand. They're so beautiful. And she looked up and she said, well, thank you. Thank you. When I left, she was smiling. So, yes, things had been going slow. Yes, there were other issues going on that everybody didn't know about. However, it doesn't matter if you know what the issues are. Always try to leave people feeling better when you leave them than they felt before you got there. Let me move on because I'll get carried away on this. Communication. You know, you have an aura, and this aura permeates everywhere you go. It goes before you go into a room, and when you leave, your aura has trace elements that's left behind after you leave. So think about times that you've been in a room and a person entered the room and it was like doom and gloom hit the room, and you're like, oh man, what happened? You don't even have to see them enter the room. People that are in a negative state of mind and have some kind of anger or whatever going on will drag down an entire room of people. Man, I have experienced it. Then there's people, and you're so glad when they leave because you feel so much better, although that lingering negativity hangs around for a while. And then there's people that walk into a room and it's like, whoa, man, I feel so light and airy, and man, I feel good. And then you may notice the person that's coming to the room who's, and they're always positive, they're always upbeat. You may not know them, but they give off the vibe of energy, positive energy. And when they leave the room, that vibe stays for a while. So what kind of vibe do you leave when you leave a room? What kind of vibe do you give when you come into a room? Oh boy. I have come into rooms at times in my life and I was the negative vibe. It's been a long time ago, but I have. And when this was pointed out to me, I thought, man, I don't want to be, Debbie Downer. Hope your name's not Debbie. But I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I want people to feel good when I'm around. And then I would think back on the instances my friends told me about, and my wife. And I said, yeah, I had something else on my mind, and I sure did go into that room, church service, whatever it was, with a less than positive attitude. So I have worked all these decades to make sure that when I go somewhere, I have to sometimes work at, I'm not kidding you, I have to work at being positive. And fortunately, God's helped me to to pull that off. So how you make others feel when you're around determines how you feel when you're alone. Check out my website, www.patreon.com/a step above. Become a gold member. $9 a month. $9 a month, you get 50 years of my seminars and conventions and workshops, books I've read, videos I've seen, audios I've listened to, magazine articles, studies I've done. I have spent tens of thousands of dollars to make myself better as an employee, and I continue to do so to make myself better to provide all of you information that will help you become more successful in life. Make it a great week.